or welcome back to the 8th concession. My name is Natalie. Well, it got pretty cold last night. It went down to 1 degree Celsius, which is about 33 Fahrenheit, and there was frost on the ground. So our unseasonably warm temperatures are seeming to come to an abrupt end, but it is November, so what are you going to do? But today I thought I would take you around with me and do some updates on some of the things that have been going on the 8th concession. But first, it's time for the ladies to have their treat. Today's goodies are an apple, some leftover tomatoes that were in the fridge, and 1 lonely grape. You can see it's well and truly fall here. All the leaves have come down off the trees now. Everything is a little brown, except the lawn. The lawn's still green. But it's getting that quiet feeling before winter comes. Good morning, ladies. Time for your treat. Hey, girls. The first thing I wanted to do was to give you an update on the glass cloche lettuce experiment going on in my garden. If you didn't see my other video, the price of lettuce has driven me to try something new, and that is to grow some lettuce here in the beginnings of winter here in southern Ontario, zone 5B, by using glass cloches. Now, I don't have any of the actual glass cloches because they're very hard to find, and the ones you can find are either decorative to be used indoors or they're vintage or antique and you can't find them. So instead, I have sourced from my local thrift store some vases that have sort of a flared end that I can use in narrow spots. And then I found a big glass fruit bowl in my house that I hadn't used for years to sort of mimic the larger cloches that they used to use in French gardens. So let's see how they're doing. So it's been 7 days since I planted these, and look what we have going on here. Lettuce. I don't want to take the glass jar off to let the warmth out because it is going to really turn cold now over the next few days. You can see that beautiful condensation on the glass, meaning it's nice and warm in there. But look at the lettuce growing. And look at the parsley growing. I cut that off, and it's going to give me another crop, I think. Let's check out the cloches where the lettuce was already self-seeding. So I happened to be at a thrift store, and I was walking around, and I found this. I found another bowl that I could use and cover some more of the lettuce seeds that had sprouted on their own. Now this, you might recognize it, of what this is. It's actually a punch bowl. Now, the best thing about this punch bowl is it was really inexpensive, and it's the perfect size and shape of the original cloches that were made just for the garden. But punch bowls have gone out of fashion. Now, many moons ago when I was young and getting married and having my kids, bridal showers and baby showers were something everyone did, and at every single one of them you would find a punch bowl with some punch in it, and quite frankly they weren't that tasty, and so it's gone out of style. And the best part about that is if you go into a thrift shop, you will often find punch bowls that people have donated, and you can pick them up for a really inexpensive price. And that's the best part, to get cloches that are $40, $50 on eBay or Amazon or at the antique store for $5 or $6, and they do the same job. Now, the only thing I would caution against is the amount of cut glass work on it. So at the thrift store I was at, they had 3 or 4 punch bowls. Now this one had the least amount of work on it. You can see there is some cutting here of design. What you don't want is you don't want what the original cloches had, and they had like a ball up here and it acted like a prism and it would focus the sunlight and it could burn the plants. So I was trying to be very careful not to buy one where maybe that would happen. I'm not sure that this sort of raised thing here will do that. So far it hasn't. You can see there's a bit of design down here, but that's nothing. And then a bit of blank space here. So the only thing I'm careful about is I'm going to try and get them as plain as possible. This sort of fruit bowl I had with no design on it is ideal. But for $6, this was a good second bet. So now I have put it over another section of self-sprouted lettuce seeds, and I now have 2. And you know what? I think I'm going to go to more thrift stores and see if I can get some more. So you can see all the green where the lettuce has self-seeded, and you can see my 2 cloches. So I would say that the lettuce inside is definitely larger than the lettuce outside. Again, I don't want to lift it to let all that warmth out. Now, how about this one? A little harder to see because of the cut glass, but there are definitely secondary leaves growing there, which is a lot farther along than the lettuce right beside it. And finally, we have the little cloche over in the herb garden behind the red door. Now, they have definitely sprouted, but I think they're a little bit behind the ones in the new garden. I don't think this garden gets enough sun. However, they're still growing, and we'll take that. Over here by the slug hut is another job that we got done in the last couple of days when it was still warm, and that is fencing in the raspberry bushes. So you can see we've enclosed my raspberry bed with chicken wire for the winter, and that's because we have a rabbit problem here, and the rabbits will absolutely decimate this raspberry patch over the winter if we don't protect it, and eat them right down to the ground. We've had that happen before. We have to have it run all along the slug hut, along the back, because under this old slug hut, you can see there are openings, and the rabbits are living under there. So if we don't put the fence at the back, they'll just come in from the back and eat them. We did this last year and it worked really well to protect them. You can see the raspberry bushes are looking great. We had extra fencing, so instead of cutting it, in case we wanted it for a bigger project next year, we just left it rolled up right there, and I sort of staked it to the ground. Last year we also fenced off the blackberry bushes here, but it was no use. The rabbits actually got in, and I decided not to fence this section this year and just see how we go. A lot of these canes are so tall, unless we have huge snowdrifts, they're just going to munch on the bottom ones, and I think it'll be okay. But I can see right over here, you can see where the rabbits are getting in and that they have burrows underneath the slug hut. Now someday when we actually change this to the barn like our plans, we'll probably address the problem of things living underneath. But for now, live and let live. They can nibble on a few of the blackberry bushes, but not the raspberries. Another chore I did was here on this tree. This is a Japanese maple. My kids got together and bought this for me for Mother's Day. I just absolutely adore it. But we also have a lot of deer. They come in to our yard from the forest there, and they like to nibble on anything over the winter. So I protected this with some chicken wire so they will not be able to nibble on my new Japanese maple. So I'm happy that I have that done for the winter. I think today, while it's nice, I'm actually going to do a little cleanup here in my front bed. I'm going to trim the dead peonies. And I think there's some weeding that needs to happen just to make it easier in the spring. So even though it's chilly, it's still nice and sunny. The wind isn't too bad. So I'm going to clean up this front bed here. Take away some of the dead plants, the hostas, the ferns, and then all these weeds. Oh, and I just noticed this too. A huge section of one of our trembling aspens came off. We had some high winds a couple of days ago, and it must have come down in that storm. It was a big one too. I don't know if you can see, but it came down off the top of one of those trees. It was a big branch. I'm glad no one was standing underneath it when it came down. So that's it. Just a quick update on some of the projects we've been doing around the 8th concession as we prepare for winter to come. Bye for now.